Well, hello there. This is Sandy. How are you doing today? I'm just going to wait a few moments to see if anyone comes on. Facebook's doing its magic by telling people that I'm doing a Facebook Live. And if you're watching the recording, let me tell you what we're going to do so that you know to keep listening, keep watching. I had a great question come in from one of the Calm Clan members, and they were asking a really important question about, is it possible to fake being at peace? And I felt that my answer was potentially a bit long for just an email, and I thought everyone else could also benefit from hearing the answer to such a question. Is it possible to fake being at peace? And so that's what we're going to cover in a short Facebook Live. And like I say, I'm just waiting for people to join us. And hello, welcome if you're just tuning in. Let me know who you are, and we'll be starting very soon. I'm going to do a Facebook Live today answering a very important question, which is it possible to fake being at peace? And I'll read the question in a few moments, and then give my take on it, so I can maybe help you if you've also wondered the same thing. Is it possible to fake being at peace? And I'll explain what that means very shortly. So let me read generally what the email was. Thanks for joining me, guys. Lots more joining. Thank you very much. I'm going to answer a question today, which is it possible to fake being at peace? It came in from a Calm Clan member, and I felt it was like an important one that many of us could benefit from hearing. And so let me read an extract from the email without giving any information away that could give away who it was. But it starts, "Hi Sandy, is it possible to fake being at peace? I have days where I'm totally relaxed, enjoying myself and life, and nothing, really nothing, can disturb that. When something happens and I feel some discomfort, I look at it, see the resistance, and by just doing it, it dissolves, and I am at peace once again. And then there's other days when I'm just tired that some of my conditions are still there, or that my conditions are still there, and it feels like I'm just adding new ones, but the old ones don't go. They are better, but are still there. It feels like all this is just not working. I'm still sick, I'm still tired, I'm still getting furious at my husband sometimes, and I'm wondering if it will always be like that. I know I'm tired because I'm still in conflict and fighting what is. It's exhausting. And I think, how can it be that one day I'm so blissed and the next day I just want to stay in bed and get away from everything?" Can anyone relate to any of this, guys? Give me a like or a heart or something, so that I can see if anyone's relating to this. How can it be that one day I'm so blissed and the next day I just want to stay in bed and get away from everything? Is it that I'm not really at peace the other days? That I'm just making it up? Really good question, eh, guys? Big question. Have any of you ever experienced that? Have you ever experienced, like, sometimes, some days you're just like really peaceful, life's really easy, feeling really blissed, and then other days you just want to, like, you're really tired and your mind starts questioning everything and you feel really like there's no point. Well, I want to give some perspectives on this that can hopefully help you out, if that's okay with you. And first of all, I want to make sure you know that you're not doing anything wrong. And also that you're not faking peace. And that it's okay to be tired sometimes. I'm tired sometimes. I'm not saying that's okay just because I'm tired sometimes, but we all get tired sometimes. And when we do, then it can sometimes, especially earlier on, make us less engaged in the present moment and more likely to slip into the mind, slip into thinking, slip into judgment. And what I've found in my own experience is that if I'm having a bad day, if I'm having an off day, as my mind would call it, then during these days, my mind has an amazing ability to pretend that I've never ever experienced peace before. You know, it literally, if I'm having if you're having one of these days, have you noticed that? Like your mind can generalize out and say, well, I've always felt this way. I'm always going to feel this way. I've never experienced peace. It's all a load of rubbish. I might as well just give up. One of the reasons for that is because the mind is not the part of you or aspect of you that is experiencing the peace. When the days you are having more peace, the days you're more out of your mind and you're more in the moment and you're more experiencing awareness, your mind isn't actually the part of you that's experiencing the peace. It's your awareness that is, because the awareness is the peace. And so, because the mind doesn't know the experience, as far as it's concerned, it's never had it. And like I say, on days like if you're having a bad day, it can appear like none of this is working. There's no point doing it. It's all a load of rubbish, and your mind will have it can have a field time. It usually wants to blame stuff and judge stuff around that time. So it will blame. Well, if it was my mind, I'd blame my spiritual teacher, or the technique that I've been playing with, the meditation practice. Blame anything, really. The mind wants to blame anything. Maybe for you, you might blame a book you've read, or you might blame me, or you might blame the Cam clan, or whatever. But just be aware that your mind wants to once it's found a problem, wants to find a fault, wants to be able to blame something. And let me give you a different take on things, hopefully, that can help you understand why you have different days. And it might help you be able to navigate them more easily, more comfortably. One of the things that you learn in central meditation, or in mind calm, or body calm, one of the things that you learn is that when you start to quieten the mind, when you start to be more present, you start to immediately experience much more physical rest. And when you start to experience much more physical rest, your body is able to heal at a much deeper level. Does that make sense? Do you remember that, guys? Can we have a like or something so you can? I know that you're there and this makes sense to you. When you are engaging present moment awareness, when you're meditating, when you're ascending, when you're calming, whatever you're doing, when you're really resting into the inner presence of the self and of being, your body gets tremendous rest. Some say deeper rest than the deepest sleep at night. Some studies have found suggest it's twice as deep rest as the deepest sleep at night, which is quite remarkable. And that's just after about 20 minutes of meditating. So when the mind stills and the mind quiets down, when the mind disengages all the thinking and you become more present and still and experience the stillness, your body starts to rest and heal as well. When the body's healing, stress is being released, maintenance and repair projects are being undertaken, and that movement in the body, that healing, that stress release, the repair maintenance projects, all that sort of stuff, that movement in the body is reflected in the mind in the form of thoughts and emotions. And so thoughts and emotions are actually, when living consciously, are a byproduct of healing occurring or stress releasing. How does this link back to why are some days so blissful and peaceful and why are other days not so much? Well, when you are accessing more consistently these blissful days, these peaceful days, these calm times, your body is able to release deeper stored stress than it's ever been able to touch before. Before, it's just been like in high alert, fight, flight, freeze stress response, and it's just been doing like the bare minimum and just so you survive. But when you're actually in a different physiological, psychological state, you're actually able to access and release deeper levels of rest, deeper levels of stress release, deeper levels of healing. And so what you'll find is the peaceful days actually allow for the deeper healing to happen on other days. Okay? You may have noticed this yourself in more of a close proximity, whereby you might have had a really busy meditation, lots of thoughts and emotions, but then once you get up and get on with your day for the next few hours, you're actually experiencing a lot of calm, a lot of stillness, a lot of quiet. And that's, again, that deeper level of uh, stress release that you've had during the meditation, because you had lots of thoughts and emotions clear, has allowed for that calm after the storm. And sometimes you have calm before the storm. But it's all actually working in your best interest. Now, at the time of it, it can be uncomfortable, or we can feel tired because the body's healing at a deeper level, and often the body will want you to rest to allow that healing to happen. But in the times when that deeper level of rest and stress release healing is occurring, there can be days which appear to be bad, and I mustn't have been experiencing any peace before that, because how could I be experiencing peace if this is how it's like today? Well, we're learning to circumnavigate these days. One of the main intentions with Calm Cure is so we can get peace with sometimes experiencing what we think we want and sometimes experiencing what we don't think we want. These are all human experiences that we're learning to get peace with. So be aware of that. Also, I want you to recognize that anytime you have a problem with your progress, remember that it's your mind that's having the problem with your progress. If you can remember that, you're going to be able to see that thought, that voice in your head that sounds like you that has a problem with your progress, and instead of being that thought, you can start to see that thought. It's not going to have so much power over your experience to the degree which you experience emotional suffering or physical suffering as a result of what's occurring. And so remember, anytime you have a problem with your progress, it's your mind that has that problem. Your awareness has not got any problem with progress. Also, to have problems with your progress requires time and an idea of a perfect human experience, like an idea of what a perfect you would be. Does that make any sense? So comparing and contrasting, this day isn't as good as yesterday. That requires comparing and contrasting, judgment, and time. And these are all things that we know exist within the mind, and the awareness which we're trying to play much more within the realm of, it is experienced beyond time, beyond comparison, beyond judgment, beyond ideas of perfect, beyond ideas of what's good and bad, right and wrong, better and worse, positive and negative. It's beyond all of that. So remember, life is, the mind makes life out to be like a game of snakes and ladders, whereby you have a few good days and you go up a couple ladders, and you go along a bit and up a ladder and up a, you get you throw a few sixes and you make some progress. But the mind will also, if you're living like that, going, oh, this is a good day, then eventually the mind's going to create a snake for you to slide down, and it's going to appear that you're not making progress. It's not true. I mean, it looks like, you're good, and then you're bad, and then you're good, and you're bad. But what you're actually going to notice over time, if you're actively playing with this stuff, it's less like low and high, and it's more like high, 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 and then you might dip down, but it's more like that. Does that make any sense? It's more, you're down shorter times than you used to be. And it's not actually like that, or even like that. The reality is it's more like this. Dum, 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 dum. And although it's much more like a board game again, what I'm trying to show you is, although it appears in the short term that you're having no progress, the reality is you're spending more time in stillness, you're spending less time in your mind, you're spending more time in love, less time in judgment, you're spending more time aware of what's occurring, as opposed to just being completely unconscious and suffering from it and struggling through your day. You actually have self-awareness now more than you ever had before. And that is so fundamental. And so I'm seeing some comments come in. Lucy said yes right near the beginning when I was asking about the question, I think. Marion said she wouldn't blame me, which is nice. I was talking about you want to find something to blame. That's nice. Bonnie said, I forgot how bad my calf muscles was before I started the practice until I read the foreword to Calm Cure that David Hamilton spoke about having the same issue that had gone, yeah. Just got enlightened in how my mind views my progress in weight loss instead of honouring conscious awareness. Exactly. So that is really important, Bonnie, for you to see that if there's a part of you that's doing this so that you lose weight. Start by making sure you're getting peace with your current weight, for sure. Remember, what you're in conflict with tends to continue. And then, but really see that idea that your weight has got anything to do with enlightenment or progress. No, your progress is to do with freedom and an ever expanding awakening. Marion says, "Wow, these words are needed today." That's so good to hear, Marion. If you guys missed the beginning, I basically was sent an email today from someone, a member of the Calm Clan, and they were asking, is it possible to fake being peace? Because sometimes I'm feeling really good, sometimes I'm feeling not so good, or my day's not so calm and freeing and easy. And does that mean I wasn't really experiencing peace the other days when I was at peace? And I'm like, well, you are experiencing peace. But the mind tends to have a marvelous way of convincing you that when you are feeling not so peaceful, it'll convince you that you've never felt it. And it's just not true. Siobhan says, what a beautiful surprise. I had a very stressful week last week, so on Friday booked a week's holiday in sunny Malta. Very nice. I wish we could all just book a week if we have a stressful week and book a holiday. I just came back to my hotel for a short rest before dinner, and you came online to deliver this message to me. Thank you, Sandy. Perfect. You're welcome. You're very welcome. And so I want to make sure we don't make these too long so you guys actually watch them. So hopefully that's kind of answered your question. You're not doing anything wrong, and we are learning to be at peace with the full spectrum of life experiences. Sometimes you'll feel really calm and peaceful and be really obvious. Other times, not so obvious. For me, sometimes the stillness is ridiculously still. Sometimes it's a much more subtle still. Sometimes the silence is deafeningly silent, and sometimes it's a more subtle silence. But on these days, it's just inviting me to be more attentive than ever before, because it's a bit more subtle. But below all of the movement, and the context of all movement is stillness, the context of all sound is silence, and the context of all stuff is spaciousness. It's the constant context. It's present within you, even if you're having what your mind will call a bad day. There's a still, silent awareness that's aware of it. But we just don't necessarily feel that awareness as much. And so be aware if you're going to get caught up in thinking that the silence is a feeling, because feelings are temporary. What we're reconnecting with and resting into is a state of being. Okay, and so you're doing great. And remember, the more you access peace, calm, and all that sort of lovely stuff, the deeper level of rest your body gets, and the deeper level of stuff it's able to release. And on that way out, you might have some thoughts and emotions, physical stuff that may be what your mind wants to judge as bad or negative, but it really isn't. It's actually all divine. It's all made up of the same divine stuff in the end. It's all the big G-O-D. Okay, so to finish off, I wanted to share my favorite quote, one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite teachers, Anthony DeMello, and he said the following. He said, "Before I was enlightened, I was depressed. After I was enlightened, I was depressed, but I didn't care anymore." And that's basically what we're learning, guys. The aspect of you that is conscious aware, stillness, the silence, has no opinion. And enlightenment is to be resting into that on an ongoing basis. And so you want to make sure that you're not having any subtle requirements on what your ideal version of yourself or ideal version of life or enlightenment is. It's not going to be how you feel or how you think it's going to feel. In Bonnie's example, she could be easily saying one day, before I was enlightened, I was weight loss. So I was had weight gain. After I was enlightened, I had weight gain, but I didn't care anymore. Okay. Or an example of this email I got when it was like, I'm just really tired. So before I was enlightened, I was tired. After I was enlightened, I was tired, but I didn't care anymore. You can apply that statement to anything, and Rebecca says, brilliant quote. Yeah, it's a really great quote. And remember, it's not coming from a place of the mind going, I don't care, and getting indifferent, and that's just like the fast track to depression, and it's not what we're talking about. We're talking about resting into the aspect of yourself that doesn't care about the individual temporary experience, the subjective temporary experience, or the objective temporary experience. You're looking to rest into the permanent, unchanging aspect of yourself, and we all know that is within us all the time. So hopefully you found that quick Facebook Live useful. We've had loads of comments, so clearly it's resonating. Thank you so much for your comments, guys. And make sure you give this post a like at some point. And I think I'm back. So make sure you give this post a quick like. Thank you so much. The more likes, more people tend to watch, and they go, "Oh, that must be useful," and so they give it a watch. And if you think someone should watch this, and let them know about it, it can be a useful one to save for later. If you're having a bad day, you might want to save this video in your Facebook feed or whatever, and be able to refer to it later. If you ever have any questions for me, do send them through. And if I feel that they would have any benefit for other people as well, then I will do more of these Facebook Lives. So thank you so much, guys, for listening in. Hope you've enjoyed it. And take it easy on your path. And remember, before you're enlightened and after enlightened, the experience is going to be the external stuff, the thoughts, the emotions, the body, all that stuff might be the same, but you're going to experience it completely differently. And so I hope that you keep playing so that you do. Until we next speak, I wish you infinite peace, limitless love, and bye for now.